So Katrina asked for us to get together. She and I have been talking about something for a while. And anyway, so I wanted to call the meeting for that reason. And then if we have any extra time for a few minutes, since Katrina's off the rest of the afternoon, to kind of talk about all our capital projects, that are ongoing, just to kind of refresh, what that is. And
Oh, I didn't know
So-
that was on the, that was on the,
so, no, I mean from them to tell us.
oh.
So, because we completed like, the walking, the River Heritage. And so, anyway, the parking deck's completed, so a lot of it's been completed, so. Anyway, why don't you go?
I wanted to speak and talk about the meeting today. There's been lots of conversations down through the years as to why West March community is locked off and can it be reopened, and it needs to be reopened. And of course, it's the Mobile Street, to put that interest back into downtown, as well as Tom Bigby. And just want to know, I had a meeting to read last night and even the other night, and those are some of the conversations and the topics that the citizens want to know, as well as myself. And I know I've had conversations with Melissa down through the years. I've talked with the mayor in regards to about it. Since Jackie been on the council, I've mentioned to him about it, as well as even when the late President Jordan was in there, and then with the current council now. So this is nothing just
Yep,
popped up
right.
out the sky. It's been a conversation for quite some while, but I think let's be proactive instead of continuing to talk about it. Let's try to move forward and make that happen, because the community cannot grow when it's locked off. And we want every citizen in every district to thrive. And I think that would be.
So was that
enhanced.
ever a conversation before any of us were on the council?
Oh, yeah. So it's a tenet in the city's comprehensive plan. So we've talked about it, planning commission, of course, it's in the plan. It's in the West Florence neighborhood plan. It's in the
Today's
the 11th. And it's in the downtown parking strategy.
The one we did with you and
Mhm.
So
Do you-
that property right there by Tennessee Valley Community Center,
Mhm.
community church.
Well, there is right of way in there, which would be north of the church. There's still right of way there.
And it lines up straight with what's there. I guess by the, what do you call that?
You
Murder
mean
Mart.
Mobile,
Is that
Where?
with Mobile Street, you mean?
Murder Mart?
Oh,
Does it line up right there?
No, it lines up with the street, doesn't it?
No, I'm saying at the street, but down there at that
Where?
point on Cedar.
Cedar. Yeah, I know what Cedar is.
It probably aligns, and I'll back up and say why I'm using the word probably. It probably aligns with the driveway into that parking area from Cedar Street, most likely.
Okay.
I say that because there hasn't been a survey done in probably ever. There's probably never been a survey done on that right of way. So that would need to be our first step, is to do a survey to see where our boundaries are, see what we have to work with.
But that property is it owned by?
If it's right of way, it's ours. Public right of way belongs to the
All that
city.
parking back there, does that belong to?
So
what we-
that parking area has been, a point of discussion as well. There's been research done, deep research done, and what we have found is that during the time of urban renewal, which predates all of the existing HUD programs. So anything that you know as CDBG, ESG, any existing HUD programs, prior to those programs becoming into existence, we had what was known as urban renewal. And in the original HUD Act, urban renewal was a primary program that was used to create certain aspects of urban development. The original parking deck, the one that's been demolished, was a product of urban renewal. There was also funding by way of urban renewal that was provided to private developers to create multifamily housing. And that's how Courtview Towers was originally created.
Is that
So-
still multifamily?
Mhm.
Corporate town?
Yeah.
So
So,
they came all through Mr. Tyree's tenure, or before?
yes, it did. No, it was during his tenure. I don't know exactly at what point, but it was during his tenure. So if you can visualize Courtview Towers, and then south of Courtview Towers is where Tennessee Valley Community Church is. To the west of that church, there is a almost identical square or perfect square that is also a parking area. That was originally a city lot. In fact, it was one of the lots that was created by Ferdinand Sinoner when he laid out the original plan for Florence. So if you're ever looking at tax maps and you come across a piece of property that says City of Florence block, whatever, block number, and then has a further legal description, then that was an original piece of property that was laid out in the original plan for Florence back in 1818, I guess. So that piece of property, along with where Courtview Towers is, because those are two separate properties, at some point came under the control of the Florence Housing Authority. Now, what I haven't been able to discern is if at the time the housing authority was considered not public-private, but if it was considered an independent authority or if it was considered part of the city of Florence, almost like a department, so to speak. Because at some point, that parking area and the area where Courtview Towers is ceased to become City of Florence property and became under the control of the housing authority, which then turned around and, I'm gonna use the word deed, but that might not, Bernie, that might not be exactly what happened because I can't find a deed to that, but somehow it came under the control of the Florence Housing Authority, and it was then either deeded or given or something to a corporation out of South Carolina that built Courtview Towers. The point of I guess contention, for lack of a better word, is that parking area is not referenced in any documents we can find, including what would have been city commission at the time, because we're talking about late 60s, early 70s. We can't find a reference to that piece of property,
The park, you
the
said.
parking area. For years, it appeared on our maps, meaning the city's maps, as being owned by the city of Florence. In fact, at the time of our, we did a major overhaul of the city's comprehensive plan in 2007. And in 2007, it was still city-owned property. So as we worked through the city's comp plan and as we updated it, it continued to be assumed that it was that it was city property. The same thing happened when we worked on the parking strategy for downtown. It's listed as city-owned property. So, to go back to the Mobile Street extension from Pine to Cedar, the idea that's presented in both the comp plan, the West Florence neighborhood plan, and the parking strategy is that that parking area could become public parking, or even better, when the discussion on the new parking deck began and there were businesses that were renting spaces on Tom Bigby Street, that those could be transferred to that parking lot.
It's
And,
annual parking.
and, right, and that leased parking could happen there. Couple of reasons. You're about a block away from where you were to begin with. But secondly, most business owners that are leasing that parking is for themselves, and they're working, an 8 to 5 or, an 8 to 6, or they're working a regular work day. So taking up parking that's nearby the business would take away from customers. So putting them a little further away, gives them long-term parking. They're still close by, but they're not taking up parking that's so close, to the business that it could be detrimental to customers. The third part of that was this. By using that parking area for either public parking or long-term parking, we could open up that corridor in really one of three ways. We could do it as a pedestrian-only corridor and give it the streetscape feel that it needs. So if people are parking in that lot, they can see where they're going. There's no, they're not turning corners. They're not having to wonder, okay, where do I go from here? So visually, they know exactly, how to get to where they're going in the downtown area. It also opens up West Florence for people to be able to walk, so they're not having to drive to get to what they need to get to within the community or within downtown. Or you could do a combination of things. You could do a travel lane plus pedestrian, which opens up an opportunity for us to extend Mobile Plaza into that block of between Court and Pine, and we could have a 2-block plaza area plus a drive lane and a pedestrian walkway from Cedar to Pine, or we could do a 3-block.
You say the drive lane 2-way or 1-way?
It would just, I don't know how much right of way we have, so it would just depend. It would depend on what we've got. And we know we've got topography that we'll have to work with there because there's retaining walls at the south end of Corview Towers. So it's really, I know y'all hear me say this all the time when we start visualizing projects that are, in the planning phase. The first thing we need to do is get a survey and see where our boundary lines are. So there are so many different things that opening up that section can do, and there's so many different things that we can do to make it, not just functional, but make it to where it's more than just a street. It's more than just a, asphalt that's connecting from Pine to Cedar. Now, if that's what the city wants to do, is just, connect it with asphalt, then that's, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But, I still believe that small parking area, that it's still worth pursuing, and that if the city never actually deeded it as part of that development, then it needs to come back to us.
Let me ask you one more question. All right. We take the church, and they have some parking on the side, and they have some parking a little bit behind.
That's on their property.
All right, but behind that, not only the parking you're talking about, but sort of south of that, there's a fenced area, and I don't know what kind of junk they put in there. Is that behind, doesn't Joel own that property where they have the crossing Times Daily?
It's where Ally Communications.
Yeah.
He's
Behind that, there's,
That's what he's talking about.
Always have those.
also
matches and stuff
Odom,
like that.
didn't Dennis Odom in his office, that from,
And the engineering group was
and there's some
there.
kind of
Yeah,
fence in
I
there,
know.
looks like it got junk behind it.
I mean, I know what building you're talking about, but I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, Bernie?
Yeah.
Right behind
I
that
think
two-
that's
two-
all
two
part of the
building,
Tennessee
220 or
Street
whatever.
blocks.
Yeah.
I don't think that has anything to do with what we're talking
No,
about.
I don't think it does either, especially if it's connected in any way to that 3-story building that's right across from the Times Daily.
Yeah, I think all those are
That's all,
connected to
that would
Tennessee
all be
Street property.
Tennessee.
So, cause they're past the mid-block.
Yeah.
If you think of it that way.
Yeah. My recommendation would be is to get a survey so that we can see what right-of-way we actually have. What public right-of-way we actually have, and then go from there.
So when you're talking about a survey, what areas are you talking about?
I think we need to start, well, we would start with because you always start at an intersection, so we'd start at the intersection
I mean, are you
of,
talking about Mobile and Tom Bigby?
we could do both. Right now, we were talking about Mobile, so I hadn't jumped over to Tom Bigby. I'm just talking about Mobile at this point.
So the top Bigby where the Karsner house is, in the Karsner house. And then part of that property is owned by First Southern Bank now, is that right?
First Southern does have property,
That
I
goes
just
all the
don't
way- All the
know,
way to Cedar Street, I think.
I just don't know, and Katrina and I talked about this, I don't know where our right-of-way is.
So can we get to the survey on both? Go ahead and get them both.
Yeah,
I think we should.
That'll tell us our right of way.
Yeah.
We do that.
yeah, and if we do, I don't like to shoot from the hip on what that would cost, but probably to survey both, maybe, it'd be less than 10.
Okay.
Maybe closer to 5. I don't know. That's just, I don't like shooting from the hip on that.
Yeah.
Because you never know when you get in there. If they're, when they're surveying, if an engineer or surveyor can find existing, markers, it makes it a little bit easier. If they can't find them, then they have to, shoot those and actually create them. So that's where, some of your cost discrepancy can come in. But I can get an estimate, obviously, and, with it being a professional service, they're gonna be able to tell me to the penny. It's not gonna be a situation where it's, oh, it might cost this. No, they'll tell me exactly what it will be, and
To
then I
do.
can, and then I can, get that back to the committee, or we can go straight to finance. I mean, whatever y'all wanna do. But it's not gonna be, that much money. And we
Oh.
need to know.
What's the timeline on usually getting that
For surveys?
for it to come back?
Yeah, for a short area, I mean, that's a really short area,
Both of 'em.
It really depends on how busy they are, but let's think of it in terms of council meetings. If I could get I could probably get a proposal in time for the next, so not the one on Tuesday, but the
The August.
yeah,
Mhm.
whatever date that is, for the August one, and assuming that it would pass, they would go to work immediately, maybe give them a month.
Yeah, we would have to figure out, I mean, would that come through your office?
It can.
Well, we're getting.
Where else would it come from? When you said it can, so where else?
So the way that projects are done right now within the city is there's, departments have ownership of different projects. So, if I'm getting the estimate and I'm overseeing the surveying, then obviously that would, that's something that I would oversee. But any department that is overseeing a project that's of a capital or infrastructure nature is they're gonna get a survey first, so.
So it
Just
could
depends
be
on where the ownership is.
You or engineering
Or
yeah.
anybody,
Any of 'em.
Yeah.
it could be anybody,
Well, the reason I asked the question is we're getting close to the end of the budget year.
right?
We gotta determine which department still has enough room in their budget to try to do that. And
So I don't have, the only funds in my budget are administrative. I don't have any project funds or discretionary funds whatsoever.
Mayor, can you check on who might still have some funds left for those type projects in the current budget year we're in. I just hate, I'm just a stickler,
Once you
try to
get,
stay
find
on
it
budget.
No, I
down
get
the
it.
ballpark and
Yeah, let me see how much it would be
Yeah.
first.
Okay,
And, you know, we have just, you know, less than a handful of engineering firms, you know, in the city.
Right.
So, and I always like to use the local guys as much as possible. And they're easy to get a hold of because we work with them so often. So I mean, I can call them this afternoon and ask them to send me a quote. And a time quote too. So I'll ask them for both, you know, I want a cost estimate, but then when can you get to it?
yeah,
Because if they're just ultra busy, then we'll get them on the next round and go with
Since-
somebody else,
stuff.
yeah.
Since this is connects to both your districts, do you see it as just a road through like a street, or you want something step up
well,
from that?
my vision for my side, but I first wanna say, if we only had the money to do one thing, I think the highest priority, I agree, is we gotta open up Mobile. I mean, you know,
Just like a
that's
two-way street.
whatever Melissa says we can do, but what I'm saying is if it's gonna be some of it done in District Two and then some of it done in District One, but we only have the money to do one of those two, it needs to be yours. But I would love to see it as a joint project financially where we're dealing with the one lane right now because of the demolition. I've talked with the business tenants in there, and they would love to extend Mobile Plaza on through like we're talking about. And they would like to do it while it's being torn up right now and not do it later. And they all said that they could use a backdoor entrance policy and would be okay with that. But that way we could just do one giant project. But again, I would defer to your project first. I just think it's too important.
I agree, because this project before all this other
Mhm.
projects downtown and all the back door and all that stuff, this has been in the question and the works and a desire, wanting for many years. So I would hope that that would become a priority. I
Yeah,
think it needs to be.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I certainly can support that.
Yeah, you know.
I'm not saying not the
No.
other, but this has been locked off for 100 years.
That's right.
Let's just see what
That's
we're
right.
dealing with. I
Yeah.
mean, if we had to pick and choose between Tom Bigby and Mobile, I'd prefer Mobile. But
Which would.
I think that would open everything up all the way through, sort of. I don't know, let's see. Tom Bigby ends down at Locust, is that right? You have to turn? Is that right?
Oh, you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see which way you're going now.
Mobile goes straight through.
Yeah.
Is that right? Mobile
It
goes
does.
straight through.
It does.
All the way to
But
College.
both of them needs to be, if possible.
Yeah.
Tom Bigby coming out, yeah, you would have to turn, but coming back out, it would put you right there on Court Street.
While we're talking about this agitates me to no end. Again, this morning, I was going to check on Steve Price. I've had this happen twice. And there's a way to fix this, and I don't know how to communicate, is having trucks go down Mobile Plaza and stop in the middle of the damn street.
Talking about delivery trucks
Delivery
instead of
trucks.
using the alleys.
Well, the alley's tied up because AT&T. But there's enough room, and I checked it today, if they park next to the curb, you can still drive through there. They set their stuff out, and Katie barred the door, you have to.
Yeah, it's
sit
20
there.
feet between curbs there. Just
So,
basically
I
two
mean,
10-foot lanes.
you know what I'm saying, if they pulled over,
Be tight.
it
Yeah.
would be tight, but it would be,
I need that.
you know, once you get in there, what are you gonna do? Especially somebody gets behind you, you're just gonna be stuck for their opinion.
Well, I thought the trucks typically, I saw one doing that, and I thought most deliveries, they tried to get by 10 a.m. You know, and that's the goal, is to get all our
It'll go where
downtown
your
deliveries
pop socket is.
completed by 10 a.m., except for like things like UPS routes.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, you're talking about food delivery, beverage delivery, they just need to make it a priority
This is the
by 10 a.m. before most of our businesses open.
Okay, one thing we gotta think about on dealing with Mobile and Tom Bigby is I know there's no substation back there, electricity
I think
department.
that's on Cedar, isn't it? The
Mhm.
substation.
And I know that the problem we had last Saturday is emanating from that, and some of that wiring.
It's completed. They've got it.
Did they redo it all?
It's done.
Is that when they closed it?
Yeah, yeah. And Will texted me, I think yesterday, and I think they had an outage, a planned outage at like 1 a.m. to
I
convert it
saw
back
a
over.
map with it.
So we're good. But I don't think that substation would be any issue with the right of way on the street you're talking about. So, I guess we just adjourn and meet
Well,
when
we need to make a
Can-
vote.
yeah.
We need a vote for her to
No,
proceed.
no, but that's all we need to do though, is for the survey, and then we would reconvene, so the word I
Do
meant to
we
say,
need to
not adjourn.
reconvene, or, because we're both on the finance committee, or just go there?
Well, the finance committee, you chair, so I follow what you prefer to do there.
Because that's just another meeting.
Yeah,
So,
as
right.
long as I have I feel like I have a consensus that we're gonna get the survey to do
Mhm.
both.
Yeah,
And,
I would say, after you get that and
Mhm.
you share that,
I'll
let's-
share it
let's-
with y'all.
Let's go to, finance.
Okay,
yeah, because we'd have to.
But if
put
both
like-
of you on
Let's go,
finance,
Yeah,
We are.
why don't let you share it with him, and if y'all are satisfied with it, we'll just take it on. I mean,
I'd rather go through the proper channels and bring it through the finance.
who else is on the finance?
Blake.
Blake. Yeah, and plus we'd need to have, we couldn't just adjourn and go into because we'd have to have a public notice too.
Right. mhm.
So, I agree, we just need to follow the proper,
Proper rules.
um,
Keep me out of trouble.
yeah.
Keep me
Yeah.
from getting mistreated.
But did you make a motion? You
I make a
said-
motion that we would, move forward with Melissa getting a survey for Mobile and for Tom Bigby.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
What?
Motion carries.
All right.
I kinda thought it would.
No, I was just waiting for you to carry it.
Starting to think,
You
raise
just
my
looking at
hand
me, I'm
slowly.
looking at you, I'm like, where?
All right, so what else? That it?
I think that's it.
Okay, the only other thing that I had requested, and I sent him emails out earlier, just so that we would have it, is if we could get, an updated,
Shayna said
yeah,
she'd get,
just a capital projects list, so that we know where all of them stand, because it's, maybe we can find some money that way.
I
I'm sure
asked-
Shannon can find it, she does find it.
I had asked, Chamber and the county commission,
Danny?
Danny yesterday, and they still hadn't heard anything from Aberhome's office about the funds, the ARPA
ARPA.
fund.
Okay. All right.
So you're gonna ask Shannon for a updated,
Yeah, I
capital
talked
budget?
to her earlier.
So you've already done that, we're gonna get it? Do you know when, possibly?
I don't know, we're dealing with payroll right now.
So
Payroll system.
maybe we can have it when we have our follow-up meeting after we get the surveys. So, all right, well, if there's nothing else, we can adjourn and finish eating.
So you're gonna take us out on your sea dues today?
I'm a what?
Gonna take us out on the water on your sea dues?
Oh. You ain't put me no water.
Adjourn.
Oh, adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.